So the moment so many of us have been waiting for such a long time has finally arrived. The official trailer for Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi has released, and let me tell you, it will get you very excited for the show. We get glimpses at the infamous Grand Inquisitor and his underlings from Star Wars Rebels, a deep look into the shady criminal underworld, and even a very tiny appearance from Darth Vader. So remember to subscribe for new Obi-Wan videos all the way up to the release on May 25th. Let's get into it. So the trailer starts off on the harsh sands of Tatooine under the light of its twin suns. In the distance, Obi-Wan is riding an Eopie. This is probably actually the same one he rides in Revenge of the Sith when he delivers Luke to Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru at the end of the movie. The Eopies are mammalian herbivores which were pretty widely used across the galaxy for transport and delivery. So it makes a lot of sense for Obi-Wan to keep his, as he will need it to hunt and scavenge for food in Tatooine's vast deserts. After that, we see the streets of Mos Eisley and the people who inhabit it. Obi-Wan has entered into the town for whatever reason on the back of his Eopie, and the narration over the top gives us a glimpse at the broken Obi-Wan Kenobi. He is defeated and knows that the fight is done. The Jedi lost their struggle against the Sith and now must retreat into hiding until a new hope emerges. The very one that he is protecting out there on the sands of Tatooine. We then see Obi-Wan sitting at the mouth of a cave, which we know from the recent scene dump from Entertainment Weekly is actually his home from Revenge of the Sith until this period. Obi-Wan sits at the end of his cave, silently and pensively looking over the Skywalker homestead, ensuring that Luke and his family remain safe from any threat that they may face. Obi-Wan then uses his macro binoculars to look more closely at the Skywalker moisture farm, where he sees Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru moving around, as well as the very young Luke Skywalker sitting above their home. The Obi-Wan show is set around 10 years after Revenge of the Sith, which itself went down in 19 BBY. This places the events of the show at 9 BBY on the calendar, meaning Luke is 10 years old also. You can see him wearing some darkened goggles, which could just be to protect his eyes from the harsh light of the twin suns, or they could be some sort of pilot simulation system. We see him rocking back and forth pretending to be the best star pilot in the galaxy, so that's pretty reasonable. We also get a beautiful look at Ewan McGregor's face before he says, "Stay hidden." In the context of this trailer, this is obviously directed at himself and Luke, since he needs to keep the new hope for the galaxy hidden, but I also have some speculation about where this might come from in the show. We know from the scene dump by Entertainment Weekly that there is another Jedi who meets up with Kenobi on Tatooine named Nari, and supposedly Nari wants Obi-Wan to help him with some sort of plan. It's possible that Obi-Wan then tells him this whole story about the Jedi having lost the war, and to just stay hidden since he really doesn't have any hope for them other than Luke. That scene itself is probably in the first half of the season. Pretty cool to think about. Right after this, we get the Lucasfilm logo topped by a musical score which will bring incredible levels of hype to pretty much all of you. Duel of the Fates from the Phantom Menace rings out as the Lucasfilm logo dissolves away like sand in the wind. This could be a foreshadow to an encounter between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Maul, since this is well before Star Wars Rebels, where Obi-Wan kills him. In Rebels, Maul is stranded on the ancient Sith world of Malachor with no ship and no way to leave, but we never get an answer as to how he got there. This may be covered in the show, and he might even fight Obi-Wan before the one in Rebels. But either way, tell me in the comments what your reaction was when Duel of the Fates started playing. I have a pretty good guess already. Now after this is where things get really amazing for the fans of the Star Wars video games like Fallen Order and even the animated shows like Star Wars Rebels. We get a shot of a shuttle carrying a group of Jedi hunters known as the Inquisitors. For those of you who don't know, the Inquisitors were introduced in Star Wars Rebels and served directly under the hand of Darth Vader himself. They were trained by and reported to Darth Vader with the sole goal of hunting down surviving Jedi Knights from Order 66 and children who show any signs of Force sensitivity. Palpatine set up this program and put it under Vader's watch to ensure that a new Jedi Order could never rise up, and so that another Force sensitive could never challenge his rule. This got so dark that any young cadet at the Imperial Academy who did too well on their physical tests or training had the Inquisitors called on them, and then they were snatched away in the middle of the night. We saw this happen in Star Wars Rebels to an unfortunate young cadet. The Inquisitors under Vader's guise were given titles based on their gender and the time that they were introduced into the Order. For example, the fourth male Inquisitor to be inducted into the Inquisitorious was given the title Fourth Brother, and then their old names were to be forgotten from history. On top of this, pretty much every single Inquisitor was once a Jedi Knight who survived the Great Purge and was corrupted and brought over to the dark side by Vader. The Grand Inquisitor, the highest ranking member, was actually a Jedi Temple guard before Order 66, and was the one who escorted Barriss Offee to her trial in the Clone Wars Season 5. Before Order 66, Darth Sidious corrupted his mind so that when the Dark Day came, he turned on his fellow guards and helped the clone troopers to slaughter them. Very, very dark. So over the top of the shuttle, zooming forward, we get a speech from the Grand Inquisitor who tells his fellow Inquisitors that the key to hunting a Jedi is patience. This is seen in Star Wars Rebels when the Inquisitors were sent after Darth Maul on Malachor, and they were forced to wait in the shadows until he emerged. Now, the place that this ship is travelling to is actually a place called Fortress Inquisitorious on the water moon of Nur. The fortress is an underwater stronghold for this group of Jedi hunters and is pretty badly damaged in the events of Fallen Order, which takes place before the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Nur is funnily enough one of the moons of Mustafar, Darth Vader's planet, and it actually features pretty heavily in the video game Jedi Fallen Order and gets a mention in the Darth Vader comics. The structure is exactly how it looks in-game, and the Inquisitors are arriving from the side angle. In Fallen Order, you take control of a lone Jedi survivor of the Great Purge named Cal Kestis, who has to traverse his way through the galaxy and remain hidden through the dark times. At the end of the game, he makes it to the fortress seen in the trailer and is confronted by the one who controls the Inquisitors, Darth Vader. Awesome game, so if you haven't played it yet, make sure you give it a go before the Obi-Wan show comes out. After this, we cut back to Tatooine, where we see the Grand Inquisitor, played by Rupert Friend, intimidating a local citizen with his red, unignited lightsaber. The Grand Inquisitor is of course the highest ranking Inquisitor below Darth Vader and was a major part of Rebels Season 1, hunting down surviving Jedi Knight Kanan Jarrus and his Padawan Ezra Bridger after they started partaking in rebel activity and attempting to help the people of the galaxy. He's got the exact same outfit as the show and the look is definitely different, but personally I don't mind it. Let me know in the comments what you think about the Grand Inquisitor's look in live action, and do remember of course that we have seen his species, the Powans, in live action before from Revenge of the Sith, so tell me down below what you think. While the Grand Inquisitor continues talking about how Jedi cannot help what they are, we see Obi-Wan on board a desert transport, probably being taken into the main town centres of Mos Eisley or Mos Espa. But right after this, we get an absolutely beautiful shot of the Inquisitors inside of the Fortress Inquisitorious on Nur, underwater with the third sister Reva, the fifth brother introduced in Rebels, and a brand new Inquisitor never seen before. Just from the far angles we see of her, she looks to be of the Thalothian species, the same one as Adigalia. But of course we can't really see from the trailer, so we'll just have to wait till the show to find out. You can also see a round blade on the back of the fifth brother, which allows him to spin his blade in circles rapidly. This was introduced in Star Wars Rebels, and yes, even allows them to fly like helicopters. Hopefully that part doesn't get translated over into live action. Back on Tatooine, we see a man hanging from his neck, probably to horrify and scare the city's onlookers into giving up any information about Jedi that they might have. They definitely don't want to end up like this guy, of course. This little display is being orchestrated by Reva, the third sister, and in the crowd is Uncle Owen. He's probably in town to sell his water from the moisture farm, and let's just hope he's not overcharging like the guy from the Book of Boba Fett. Next up, we move to Beru, an urban underworld planet which will probably be home to some of the shadiest and darkest criminal activity possible in the Star Wars universe. Think spice, illegal weapons, and exotic technology. On the streets of this world, the new Inquisitor prowls and terrifies the innocent citizens, while Kenobi attempts to stay hidden in the shadows. We then see an awesome looking droid being tended to by a stormtrooper, before we see the spinning red lightsaber of the Grand Inquisitor in action, terrifying a local citizen. This is straight out of Rebels. Following that, we get the first major look at the fifth brother in live action, who featured in Star Wars Rebels and was very active in the Darth Vader comics, as well as being the one sent to hunt Ezra Bridger and Kanan Jarrus in Rebels, along with the seventh sister. We then see some escape pods jetting out into space. This could be any scene really, but some have speculated that this could be two Jedi escaping from the Jedi Temple, with one turning into the third sister and the other becoming the Jedi Knight Nari, who helps Obi-Wan out. Time will tell on that one. The third sister then harasses some more citizens with her red blade before coming across a sort of marking etched into the wall on Beru. This kinda looks like a Jedi symbol, but could also be an image of the birds we see in the next scene. We really have no idea what these green birds mean, but based on their emerald and white colour patterns, they could be related to the daughter of Mortis and her animal form Morai. Morai is actually bound to Ahsoka ever since the daughter of Mortis poured her life essence into her to save Ahsoka's life. This happened in Star Wars The Clone Wars, where Anakin, Ahsoka and Obi-Wan travelled to the mystical world called Mortis, where three beings known as the Ones confronted them. The daughter represents the light, the son represents the dark, and the father represents the balance. Subscribe if you want to know more about them. In the chase scene, there is also a guy who kind of resembles Casian Andor, but maybe not, which could be the case considering Andor is the next series and was announced right alongside this trailer, but that's pretty rough at this point. For the final shot, we see Kenobi almost writing into a journal. From the 2015 Star Wars comic, we know that Luke Skywalker has a journal written by Obi-Wan expressing what times were like during the reign of the Republic. He could be writing in that journal right there. And to end off the trailer, we get the respirated breath of Darth Vader, giving us a hint at the rematch of the century that will go down in the series. So that is my full breakdown of the Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer. Show is releasing May 25th, so cheers guys, hope to see you in the next one.